Hello again. Welcome to episode 3 of our vlog. Cheers for joining. I hope all is well with you. We're still in the eternal lockdown here in the UK. But yeah, I hope wherever you are, you're doing all right. It'll be spring soon, unless you're in the southern hemisphere, in which case it'll be cooler soon, and that'll probably be nice for you as well. What have we been up to? Not that much, really. It's a bit deja vu at the moment, but we're still here and we're still spinning your tops, and there's lots of snowdrops in our garden, the occasional crocus kind of cropping up here and there. So spring is on its way, which is nice. That's definitely bringing some cheer. But yeah, other than that, not much really going to report, unfortunately. Maybe one day. But yeah, welcome in any case. And thanks for tuning in. And as I said, this is episode 3. So what we thought it would be good to do this time, based on someone's comment. So thank you, whoever suggested this. But we're going to talk a little bit about different sheep breeds and the properties that different fibres have, and like what makes them good for certain projects and not others, and sort of how different fibres behave. And then also in light of that, what you might decide to use if you're thinking of a certain project. So yeah, I hope you'll enjoy it. I hope you find it informative. And first off, what we're going to do is go whoop straight over to John, and he'll be able to show you the first breed.
So without much ado, what we'd like to talk about is fibre, as I've said, and I'm going to, the royal we, is talk about, I haven't got a neckerchief on, this is my mask, by the way. Sorry, just thought I'd put that in there. Is Bluefaced Leicester, and I've got the wrong one, which is this one here. We love Bluefaced Leicester. It's, I think it's the king of British fibre. It's fine and lustrous, it's lovely, beautiful golden colour. I don't know if you can see some lustre coming up on that. Anyhow, a bit about Bluefaced Leicester. So it's a British breed which was developed back in the 18th century. Probably somebody's going to say, no it wasn't. By Mr. Bakewell, who was around developing lots of breeds in this fine country, which we still wish was part of the EU.
Question from the back.
Question from the back.
Is that the Bakewell tart man as well? Is it the same Bakewell? I know nothing about this.
I don't know.
That would be a real claim to fame,
I wish
wouldn't it? BFL sheep and a Bakewell tart.
I don't. He wasn't a Bakewell tart.
He wasn't a Bakewell tart. He might have made
No.
Bakewell tart.
Not that I know of. All I know is he went around, did a lot of work on lots of breeds and stuff,
Okay,
and he was sort
cool.
of originator of a lot of things.
Maybe his, I don't know.
Don't know. I mean, there's lots of
Someone
work
in
that
his
was done,
family.
and they did a lot of work in Australia and New Zealand
Yeah.
and stuff, didn't they? So
Anyway.
I don't know. All
apologies
this
for
stuff's
the
probably
interruption.
interrelated. Yeah. Throw me now. So, but I won't put some jam on this, and we're away. So this is our Bluefaced Leicester, and yes, Mr. Bakewell who developed it back in the, I think it was known as Hexham Leicesters or something like that.
Okay.
And because of the area, it's in Northumberland, and that area, Tyne and Wear Valley area of the country, I'm not too familiar with
It's
at
up
all.
north. We
It's
don't
up
know
north.
about
I should know. Juliet's brother lives near there.
Does
so,
he?
Yeah, anyway. So that's what it was known as, but now we've come to know it and love it as Bluefaced Leicester, and it's a long staple wool and is classed as a Lustre wool because of its lovely lustre. It's very crimpy, very sort of springy as well, and fine. About 26 up to about 26.5, 27 micron is its usual area, and it's got a lovely staple. I pull some off, probably can't see that, but it's about 3 to 6 inches staple length. Bluefaced Leicester can have a lot of kemp in it. So
can you let us know what kemp is?
they're like a flat, wiry fibre that grows amongst the finer fibres, and it dyes differently as well and takes differently, and very noticeable when you start dyeing it. And not a very nice fibre to have in something that's really fine and soft. So when it's graded at the wallboard, which we're fortunate to have a station just down the road, and we can go and see what's coming off Exmoor and going into the station, and so I get to see what grades. But they do a fantastic job of grading the wool initially, and they're taking out a lot of the kemps and sorting out the top quality BFL. It goes in the BFL number 1 grade, okay, which we then go in there and look at and then bid for in auctions. But what we also do with the Bluefaced Leicester, or the Royal We, the lovely Andrew gets his hands on it and he grades it again, so it's double sorted. That's why it's called double sorted, because it's graded a second time to get all the bits that were missed first time round. So because Andrew's got lots of time, he sits in his lounge watching the TV, picking kemps out
Individually sorting each.
Well, it's easy to go around second time and pull stuff out. So I mean, he's not going to get it all. You never will.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we end up with this extraordinary Bluefaced Leicester. Now, there's a common thing to do is in the trade is to blend similar types of fibre to create a Bluefaced Leicester. This is pure Blueface. This is the real deal, and it's head and shoulders above anything else you'll see out there. We've seen it all the way through the process, so we know exactly what it is, and we can go back even to the farm and say where it's come from with the hand and the heart. So they're all good stuff.
Amazing.
And I think, see that lustre, love it. So here we've got some spun yarn, and I'm hoping you can see the lustre on that. And that's a 2/16s that we've spun, and a 50 gram skein, giving us 400 meters per 50. So it's quite a fine two-fold yarn, which is going to come up as a special, drum roll, soon apparently. I don't know how soon is.
Well, it depends when the video goes
Is
up,
it? How
so.
soon is now? So yeah, at some point we're going to have, so we've got more than one, lots of it. Whoa, look at that.
How shiny that is.
Gorgeous stuff. Lovely, lovely bounce, lovely handle. I just love it. So silky. Almost, when you're feeling the fibre, it feels almost soapy, I would say, to the touch. There's the BFL again. And if that wasn't enough, we do a top just to give it even more lustre with silk. Look at that bad boy.
That is a popular one as well, isn't
so
it?
that's our double BFL and A1 mulberry silk. And Frankie is doing a special yarn at the moment. Fancy yarn. We were just trying to get an effect yarn to go with that. Lovely stuff. Watch out.
Watch this space.
Got a little book here, which is a great book. It's the Wallboards, British Sheep and Wool. Great book. Well, we recommend getting that. You can get it off their website, I think. We used to be able to. And it gives you a nice picture of us, some lovely Roman nose looking blue faces.
They look cold,
They do look like they've got a blue face with their funny short hair, makes it look a bit blue. And with their big alert ears, pretty funky looking dudes, I always think. They look great. And it tells you a bit about Bluefaced Leicester in there. So, yeah, well worth it.
Grand. That was John chatting all about the BFLs, and I just wanted to sort of share with you a little about what I think the fiber's best used for in terms of knitting, crochet, weaving, etc. And BFL, as John said, is a really good all-rounder. It's just like, it's the softest British breed that we have, and yeah, that just means that it's great for pretty much anything. Because it's a long wool, it won't pill so much as some other fibres that are soft do, like cashmere or merino. So BFL is soft but also a little bit sturdier than those. It's got a lovely sheen to it, We don't have a specific BFL yarn other than this special, which is headed to the Mill member page soon. So go there and check it out. Also, it might be gone, full disclaimer, who knows? It's just a limited edition. But we do put BFL in a lot of different blends and things, just because it really, if you want to add a little bit of softness to a yarn or a little bit of drape to a yarn, that tends to be when we use it. It's just a really great all-rounder. There's so much BFL yarn out there, which is brilliant. Some of it is on the kind of coarser end of this particular breed, but that still means it's really lovely and soft, because this is the softest British sheep. Some of it is on the softer end. That's really luxurious. It's often a little more expensive, but it's well worth paying for in my mind. BFL blocks really nicely, so it's great for lace shawls, anything you want a bit of drape to, maybe like a waterfall cardigan. Beautiful for cowls or anything you're going to be wearing next to the skin. But then it's also got enough of that woolly bounce and grip that it would be really great for colour work as well. So it's really just like a completely all-rounder. It's good for anything you might care to make. Yeah, so get out there and buy some BFL. Except not from us, because we don't sell it, but that's all right. There's other people out there too. It's nice to support your British wool wherever it's coming from.
So, leading on from Bluefaced Leicester, it seems apt to talk about our Exmoor Blueface, which is not a breed. I hasten to add. Some people think I've developed some breed, so I haven't.
You're not like Mr. Bakewell.
I'm not Mr. Bakewell. No, I could pretend, but basically, it's what is commonly known as Exmoor Mule. A mule being a cross, and it's a cross with Bluefaced Leicester and the lovely Exmoor horn. Because it's a crossbreed, the wool board said, well, Mr. Arbon, Mr. Bakewell Arbon, you can call it whatever you like. So I said, well, mule sounds like a donkey, and people may not know what a mule is, and they might think it's a bit coarse and nasty, so we plumbed for Exmoor Blueface, because it's from Exmoor, and it's the Exmoor horn, half the name, and it's with a Bluefaced Leicester, so hence Exmoor Blueface. It makes total sense to me, and it's the sheep that I see every day running around on the fields. There's so many mules in this area, and you just see them all the time. I cannot not see Exmoor mules or Exmoor Blueface on my journey to work across the moor every day. So it's a sheep that's very dear to me because of that, and it's a lovely fibre. It's obviously not as fine and as soft as our Bluefaced Leicester, because it's been crossed with the Exmoor horn, and the Exmoor horn is a hill sheep which is centuries old and has been bred here forever. And at some point they decided that when this Bluefaced Leicester arrived that they wanted better quality fibre and a meat animal, and so they crossed it, and it's considered to be one of the best mules in the country, and I'll go along with that actually. So it's got a bit of luster from the Blueface, and it's got that lovely bite and the strength from the Exmoor horn, and obviously it's still a long staple wool. It's sitting about 3 to 6 inches, similar to the Bluefaced Leicester. The micron's going to be a bit higher. It sits around 30, 31, but you wouldn't think that feeling it. Yes, question from the back.
Question from the back. Can you explain micron count?
Oh,
because I know not everybody understands what that means.
Right, so. Micron is basically the diameter, if you like, of the fibre, and the smaller the number, the finer the fibre.
Ah, so it's backwards to what you might
think.
Then.
So Merino, for example. Your standard Merino is around about 22 micron, 23, around about there, 21. Bluefaced Leicester is 26, as I said earlier, and this is sitting 30, 31.
Okay, and something really coarse like Exmoor horn?
Exmoor horn's sitting up about 34, 35.
Okay, cool.
Maybe
cool.
plus. No, it's more than that actually, probably about 36.
Cool.
Exmoor horn really goes into carpets.
Yeah.
Or really sort of heavy outerwear.
Yeah. We do
It's
have a
super
sample,
durable.
but I've realised I haven't got it here.
No, that's okay.
So in intermission, I'll nip and grab one for the close up.
In the intermission, go and get it. So what I do is I go to the board and I would like to see, you know, some of that Exmoor Blueface, the mule, and the wool's selected in, and then it goes into auction, and we bid on it and hopefully win it. And here it is, all scoured, prepped, and made into lovely tops. Now, being a nice wool that's got a lot of strength, we thought, well, that the best place to put it is in the sock yarn, and it goes into our lovely Exmoor sock because it's so durable. And to extend its life, we do put nylon in it, which we are looking at replacing in the very near future, because we don't want to put lots of plastic into our yarns.
And we use Exmoor Blueface in other stuff as well, don't we?
We do, yeah. It's
it's
in so many things. It's in our Devonia. It's in our new Appledore.
I think we can now,
Can
at least a little bit of a
Appledore,
hint.
it goes into that. What else? It goes into our Zwartbles yarn. It goes into a number of things, doesn't it?
Lots of specials.
I always think I'm
like
using it all the time, but I do like it. It's like it's our staple.
Yeah.
There we go. It is.
And it's on our doorstep.
Right on
the
our
sheep
doorstep.
we see all the time. So.
Yeah. So what we try to do is get as many fibres as we can from our local source. It's all about sustainability, using what's on your doorstep. He says using merino that comes from the Falklands.
Standing in front of a whole load of it.
Yeah.
But still.
But where we can, we try to source as much as we can. So it's about that. We can't be 100% angels.
No, and it's nice having a variety, isn't it? It's nice to
it
give
is.
people
That's
the
why
option,
we do it.
and then they can choose what they want.
Absolutely, and we do use organic Falklands. So, going back to our wonderful wool board book again, here's a lovely picture of Exmoor horn. I think they're quite cute because their eyes are to the front. It's a bit like Herdwick. And here is the very stuff. Juliet, you're not Juliet. You're Sonja. She went and got some, and you can't feel that, but it's very crisp. It's a very harsh, rugged wool of character. That's what it is. It's wool of character.
You need it up on those moors.
Yeah. So, but you know, in comparison, when you handle the Exmoor Blueface, it's totally different. It's nice. So there we go.
Back with me again. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about Exmoor Blueface, where we use the fibre, what kind of things to look for, not just in Exmoor Blueface, but any mule. They're all the same, so just like a crossbreed. And it's just a really good, like what you think of when you think of British wool, you know, like a lot of real woolly bounce to it. Really great for cables, really warm. All that crimp, it's a really crimpy fibre, and crimp is just like the texture in a fibre, and all that oodles of crimp really helps trap in air, and the air pockets are what makes wool kind of warm. So it's a really warm fibre. We use it anytime we want to just have a little bit of that woolly bounce and a bit of that crunch, but it's still soft enough to kind of be worn next to the skin, I would say. So one of the things I wanted to show you for a good example of that is our Exmoor sock. It is a blend of different fibres, but it's 60% Exmoor Blueface. So that is the main kind of texture of it. And you can see here we've got a colourwork sock. So it's great for colour work. You get really nice even stitches. And then what else have I got? I've got this beautiful cabled sock as well. So it's really good for showing off some stitch definition. I would say it's great for cables and things like that. So I'll come give you a little close up of those two. Hopefully you can see. Look how even that gorgeous colour work is. This is Natalia's sock pattern. It's called Lost in Sherwood. And it's got that lovely all over texture, but you can see just how bouncy it is up there. And then the other one I wanted to show you is this is by Anthea. And this is the Harbour Chains socks. And look at that cable. That stitch definition is just really lovely. Those cables are popping. They look great. So, and then actually my cardie as well is the Exmoor Blueface. It's probably a bit too dark to see, but that's got lots of cables on it. And I think I've been wearing this about once a week for the last 2 years. And it is still going strong. It looks great. So it really is good for like durable yarn, because it's not the softest in the world. It really is quite durable. And that's another reason why we put it in our sock yarn. So yeah, there's the Exmoor Blueface. It's a great one, just good for everything. The one thing actually I would say it probably isn't that good for is if you want something really drapey that's going to have a lot of flow to it, it will kind of, just because it's so bouncy, it won't drape quite so much. But also then, if you're using it for lace, you can block it and it will really hold its block nicely. So it'll really kind of just like keep that texture that you wet block it to. So yeah, it's a good yarn. Right, so we're going to send you back over to John and he'll show you the next breed.
Honour to Pace. We've got this lovely wool here, which is our Zwartbles, or if you're working down at the wool board down the road, Zwartbles, as they like to call it. I get corrected every time I go to a show. I'm sure I'm not saying it correctly, but there always seems to be a Dutch person when we're at a show going, "It's Zwartbles," to me. I'm sure I'm saying it wrong now again. So it's a lovely springy wool and it's super bouncy. When we're processing this, it probably occupies double the volume of any other fibre. We can't get as much in the bag as we do. It's super springy stuff. I absolutely love it. It's a medium wool. It's got a lovely handle. It's not as soft. It's probably in the sort of 31 micron range, but I love putting it into other fibres. It originates from the Netherlands. That's why they come around and scold me for saying it wrong. And I think it started appearing in this country in the 1990s, so it's quite a new sheep to breed. You know, obviously hobby farmers had it first, but there's quite a bit on Exmoor now. There's quite a bit across the country, so we do source ours from our local wool board, which is, again, as I say, just down the road, where we drive down at night with the bolt cutters and break in and no, we don't. We don't do any of that. We obviously buy it in the auction as well as we do our other
I'd like
wools.
to see you try and sneak off with several tons of
It's like a
fibre
cathedral
on
of
your back.
wool. We should go and do a vlog down there. That'd be cool.
Yeah, we should. Oh my god.
Yeah, when the grading.
lockdown's over.
Yeah. I'll convince Mike.
Yeah. That would be amazing.
Yeah. I'll buy him lots of cake and he'll let us go in there. Saying, yeah, it comes from Holland. I believe from the Friesland area. And I think it comes from the Frisian milk sheep, sort of 19th century. Again, people developing breeds. They did a lot of this. They were obviously obsessed, trying to get a decent meat animal and decent fibre. It wasn't all about the meat, which it has become these days, I think, for a lot of farms. Hence a lot of texels, but I won't go there. So it's staple a little bit shorter, 2.5, 5 to 6 inches in that sort of range. Like I say, lovely bouncy wool. The actual sheep has got a flash down its head, white flash.
That's so cute.
Yeah, little white tail tip, and it's got 2 white socks on the back legs. So you get a little bit of white flecking in there. They do try and grade it out in certain places, but it's down to the shearing. If it's going to get in there, it gets in there. I quite like the little white bits in it. It gives it a bit more character.
Yeah.
But I've seen it in auction and being sold for more if it's pure brown.
People just want things uniform, don't they?
Of course they do, yeah.
That's silly.
We like it warts and all.
Yeah.
The less we do to it, the more. And it smells. It smells like a sheep. No matter what you do to it, it's got something to do with the hormones, somebody told me. I don't smell like
just
that.
really
It's really pungent.
Hopped up on hormones, Zwartbles.
I don't know.
Just
Yeah,
proper.
maybe.
Oh, not the hormones of the sheep, you mean?
The hormones of the sheep.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with my hormones. I'm not getting. So it's not me getting excited about it. I'm not. It's not like a Woody Allen film.
Hey
or
man,
anything.
you're amongst good company.
Yeah.
I'm sure many of the people
Well,
watching
yeah,
know
there you go.
exactly what
So,
we're talking about.
Here it is in some it's blended with our Exmoor Blueface.
Oh, we can't see that.
Can you not
hold
see
that
that?
up? Perfect.
That's blended with our Exmoor Blueface. We sell that as a top and we make it into a yarn. And here it is in our Exmoor sock blend.
Oh, nice.
So just a hint of, just just to give it that flicking.
Yeah, it's 10%, isn't it?
10%, absolutely. That looks grand. So we're back to looking at some yarn with us. There's this lovely book again. I'm like trying to sell it for them, I reckon. It is a good book.
Well, we can put a little link in the show notes. If anyone wants, I'll pop one in.
So there's that lovely flash down the front of the nose there, and the little white socks. Quite tall sheep as well. You see them in the fields. I do see that. I pass these on the way in. There's somebody,
I do too.
a couple of farms with them that I go past. That's it, 100% in our Exmoor's Warblers 4-ply yarn. There we go.
Look at those little flecks.
Yeah.
And you can see some of it's a little bit paler and some of it's more of a dark chocolate.
Yeah.
It's a bit of milk and a bit of dark.
There you go. Dark and light. We like that.
Gorgeous.
Cornwall. And there it is, blended up with some Exmoor Blueface. Have I got that in the zone?
Yeah.
There we go.
Love
We
it.
do this in graduated tone, so it's getting lighter.
Oh,
There we are.
very nice.
Great. Good for a bit of tonal work as well.
Very nice.
We put it into our harvest hues, 35%, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Almost know what I'm talking about. And there it is in the top, so you can see that streaking in there. Gives it real character. It does the same to the yarn.
Lovely.
The tonal character in there, lovely. Absolutely lovely.
And I love that because the colours are dyed on some of the darker colours, like that dark greeny blue Juniper.
It's called Jupiter.
You were just
Because
holding.
we're all in space. We're space cadets.
That'd be nice. But on that one, if you're seeing it in real life, you can really see that darker.
Yeah.
And then the lighter sort of white flecking on it as well.
Yeah, you can really see it on that. The grassier green there, which is our new leaf, and the other one's sycamore. There we go. Nice. Yeah. Looks great when it's knitted up as well. You can really see that effect.
Cool.
Just like we like anything that's not flat, I think that's what it's all about. And there's some more top there with the. Which one's that? That's russet, isn't it? Yes.
Yeah. I always get russet and bracken confused.
Yeah, me too.
Because I always think that's the colour of bracken in my head.
I always want to call it Russell. And hello, Russell, if you're out there.
Oh, he might be.
He might be. Yeah.
Oh,
That's Russell in a can.
Russell in a can. Russell in a
What
way.
do you call a man in a pile of leaves? Russell. Terrible joke. Another book. If you're looking at getting books, this is a really good little book. It's just all about natural fibres, and it gives you an insight into the process, and it's not too complicated, but gives you a bit more technical information. It's published by, or was, probably find it second hand somewhere, Merino Technical Library, and the guy that wrote it, Gordon Cook, and it's called The Handbook of Textile Fibres. It's a great little book.
It's got some hieroglyphics.
Yeah, they do one on synthetics, which is like that, but it's chemistry. That's nice. It tells you about plant fibres, any natural fibres. Great book.
Grand.
Hello. So that was the Zwartbles. Definitely one of my favourite fibres that we have here. It's just got such character to it. I would well recommend giving it a go if you haven't. Both in the harvest hues, which is gorgeous, and it just has such depth of tone. Or also this beautiful shawl right here is the Zwartbles as well. And this, I'll just grab it off the mannequin
Mannequin needs a name, really. What should we call her? I don't know. Shirley. So here we go. This is by Rosina, one of our fab crochet ladies. She is Zines and Rogers, and it is called the Rainbow Shawl. I just love it in these two natural colours. And you see it's got a bit of drape, but it's just so bouncy. And this is our Zwartbles yarn blended with the Exmoor Blueface, yeah. You can see it's got that slight kind of halo to it, like a real nice woolly halo. And because Rosina's used such a big hook, it's not stiff. I think if you used a smaller hook it would be quite stiff, but she's really kind of sized up so it's nice and drapey. But it's such a warm fibre. And it's amazing for cables. We don't actually have a sample that's cabled that I can show you in Exmoor Blueface or in the Zwartbles, unfortunately. Maybe one for next time. That's clearly a gap. But yeah, it's a really beautiful kind of a fibre, and it's got so much character and bounce, just like those little sheep. So before we show you the next breed, what we're actually going to do is go over to Daisy, and she is going to introduce you to one of our machines, Mr. Boyd. He's a fine fellow, and this was actually another suggestion from someone, so thank you very much for suggesting what you'd like to see. That's always brilliant. So over to Daisy, and if you think of any other ideas of things you'd like us to show you while you're watching this, just pop us a little comment. I read them all, so cheers.
Hi, I'm Daisy, and this is Mr. Boyd.
Hi Daisy and Mr. Boyd.
Mr. Boyd is our folder. He is the only machine in the mill that does what he does. Whereas some of them, they have duplicates. He is a one of a kind, and he is a cantankerous old man. We love Mr. Boyd for many reasons. People who work up here all love Mr. Boyd. And I think that's because he has such a unique personality. Now, what we do is we get the singles, which we use from the Kona, our newest machine, and we put them together and they fold and they become what you buy in our shop, which is the combined singles that make the yarn. I don't know any technical terms. I just work here.
We're not here for the technicality.
Not here for the technicality.
Even John half makes it up. As long
Don't
as
say
it
that.
works.
John knows everything. Right now we have knit by numbers up. The nice thing about knit by numbers is it's rainbow. We can put all the colours together and create some gorgeous span of colour. We have the turquoise, the bottle green and the burgundies currently, but we have also had, I don't know if you can see to the side, is this
not
out
in
of
frame,
the,
but if you hold it up,
we have these that have come off in their tiny little bits. As they have run to the end of their life, they need to be put together on the Kona again, and then popped back on the machine to fold the rest of what's left. They all come in this format after they've been folded together.
Very nice.
So this is the bobbin. This is the bottle green knit by numbers. I believe it is 45 or 46. And if you look at the end, I don't know if this is in focus. Can you see that? There are three ends there. They've been folded together.
Oh, so that's what you've been doing.
Oh, that's what Mr. Boyd does. And when they come off from that, we put them on the skeiner or back onto the cone. Now, if you'd like to come to the machine and have a look closer at it. So up here we are beginning with looping the yarn round this contraption through the little eye, and then we go down, and then we come into these. And we can tighten and loose depending on what the yarn is. This is nice and strong, so it's nice and tight. If you have Zwartbles, it is loose because Zwartbles likes to break. Then feeds into an eye here, does some kind of spinning excitement around the wheel of life, down through another eye, bit like a sewing machine, lots of eyes, and then onto the spindle.
And are you going to thread one up for us, Daisy?
I am. So, there the bobbin goes, everyone.
Daisy does this very quickly.
Lovely. I'll do it really slowly, I promise. So you pop it through your eye, you put it round the back, you get your little tail, you tuck her under, you wingle it on, underneath your little traveller, and hey presto. And then to engage, you just pull that down.
Ooh.
And that's it.
So that's all ready to go now.
That's all ready to go.
Do you want to do another one and show us how fast you can do it? Sometimes, yeah, I almost can't see your hands move sometimes. They're so...
Honestly, I've just come from lunch, so my hands are all cold. Oh, Christ.
Also, I'm putting the pressure on.
You are. Any kind of pressure I can't handle.
No, fair enough.
Both burgundy, everybody. Knit by numbers burgundy.
Very beautiful. And what's your favourite knit by numbers colour? If you've got one, could you pick? I'm putting the pressure on again now.
Oh, I tell you what. I'm a real fan. Oh, I'm such an old woman. I like my purples and I like my teals. And so I really love the teal that we have right now. But then I also quite like the copper. And that's another new shade, as we all know. Yeah.
Cool.
Old lady colours. But we old women must stick together in our purple and our turquoise.
Yeah, very much so.
I think so.
No shame.
So yeah, that's Mr. Boyd. Thank you so much for listening to me ramble.
Well, thanks for showing us. And fare thee well.
Bye, Mr. Boyd.
Hello, I'm Helena. I'm going to talk to you about some more fibre now that John's told you about a few of them. He was telling you about Zwartbles, which we use in our harvest hues, so I'm going to tell you about the other fibre that we use in our harvest hues, which is Merino. This is the harvest hues. This one is Sycamore, and it's 65% Merino and 35% Zwartbles. The Merino that we get from the Falkland Islands. It's originally from Spain, but mostly you get it from Australia or New Zealand these days. It's our super soft one. It's lovely and soft.
Ooh.
This one is the finest one we have. It's a 21 micron, which means that it's quite fine. Most of the stuff we have is more like 26 to 29. Merino can go down as fine as an 11,
Whoa.
but that is like down in almost cashmere zone, so we don't have anything that good. It has a staple length of 2 to 5 centimetres, so not super long, and it's also very square. So if you see, edges of this are very rounded, like you don't have lots tapering off at either side. This makes it a little bit harder for us to spin, which is why we don't spin it on our big spinner Kevin, because he doesn't like these ones because they don't slip across each other very well. They tend to just break the fibre when it's spinning halfway down because it's not grabbing it as well as it would if it was a long fibre. It also means that when it's in a garment and you're wearing it, those ends are slightly more likely to pop out. So
And you get a pill.
yes, that's what makes your jumpers pill. This one is a woolen spun, which is why it's like that, but Merino will do that even as a worsted spun. So we don't recommend it for super hard wearing things, but it's super, super soft, so it's perfect for like things that are going to be right up against your skin, or for babies, or anything like that.
Perfect. And question from the back.
Yes.
Could you explain staple length to us? Because John did micron count earlier, but
Okay.
just for anyone wondering, what is that?
It just means the length of the hair. So how long that is one single hair on average that you get in the fleece.
Okay.
So this one is a 2 to 5, but if you've got a Lustre one, they tend to be more like a 7 to 12 inch. So if that's in centimetres, would be 5 to 12 centimetres or 18 to 30, so double. So with your Lustre blends that we tend to put into things that can spin on Kevin, they work a lot better because they've got a lot longer fibres, which he quite likes, and they work best for worsted spinning, which is the style that we do rather than woolen. So that one is our Merino. It's also very good for felting as well as for using for close to the skin because it's nice and soft and it's very happy to felt, which be careful when you're washing it if you don't want it to felt. We use the Merino. It is in our Knit by Numbers range, which is up here, and our Viola range, which is basically the same, but the colours were designed by Emily Foden of Viola. So it uses the same bases as the Knit by Numbers, and it's the same as the DK weight Knit by Numbers. And we also have that in tops, which is this is the Black Currant. So this one was Shepherd's Warning. And we use it in the Harvest Shoes, as we said. So that one is all the Merino.
Great. So the reason we put the Zwartbles in with the Harvest Hues is just to try and make it that little bit more durable, because Merino is a bit pilly.
Yeah, it makes it a bit more durable, even more bouncy, because as you probably saw from John, it's super bouncy fibre, and it just gives it that really nice extra depth of colour.
Yeah.
So from the sort of the chocolate brown to the black.
That was Helena talking about our Merino, and I just wanted to show you a couple Merino samples. Probably most of you watching this have heard of Merino, used lots of Merino, know what you think about Merino already. It's the softest fibre, other than cashmere and yak and a couple other things, but it's the softest sheep breed for sure. So it's probably the most popular as well, I would say. It is gorgeous, and it's so lovely for next to the skin things. But as Helena was saying, it does have a tendency to pill a little bit, unless it's been superwashed. Superwash treatment, the way they do that is you actually, like wool has got, I don't know if you've ever seen a close-up of wool, but it's kind of got all these little barbs on it. Sort of a bit like Velcro, I guess is the best way to describe it. And what they do when something's superwashed is they just burn all those barbs off, usually with chlorine gas. Not the most environmentally friendly thing. But what that then does is it stops the different fibres from felting together and not moving, because all those barbs will kind of attach. So wool that has been superwashed is much less prone to pilling. But we don't superwash anything really here. We do our Exmoor sock because people just like a machine washable sock yarn. But the rest of it, we like to kind of sort of do as few processes as possible with the fibre, so that you're really experiencing it just in the most natural way and in the way that the fibre kind of usually is. So it's got its uses and it's got its pros and it's got its cons. I personally probably wouldn't use Merino for like a jumper unless it was something that I was going to get out, you know, once and every now and then for like a sort of special occasion jumper. But if it's something you're thinking of using for like a daily basis, then I probably would suggest something with a bit more kind of bounce and a bit more woolly grip to it. But it's so gorgeous for like cowls or hats or mittens or shawls, of course. Always a go-to for shawls. Anything that you're going to be like really wearing in a delicate area. But yeah, it's so soft and it's so buttery, and it is a beautiful, beautiful fibre. It's definitely one of our favourites. And the other thing that I would say about non-superwash merino, like our Knit by Numbers and the kind we sell here, is I'd say it's probably not that good for like lace knitting, because it's such a fine micron count. I was saying about the like barbs on it, just over time you might block it and it might really have this like crisp shape, and then over time it'll just kind of gently spring back and sort of shrink into itself slightly. So for that reason, I probably wouldn't use it if I was going to do like really delicate lace work. But it also means it's amazing for something like colour work. Ta-da! So this amazing thing is by Felix. And look at that. It uses 2 full gradients of our Knit by Numbers 4-ply minis. And it's such a fun pattern. It's called Polkamania because it's all polka dots, obviously. And what she's done is she's used like every single one of these is a different combination of colours. So if you're looking at playing with light and dark or playing with like colour dominance,
in knitting, it's a really great project to just see. This section right here is two really pale colours together, whereas this one here you can see is two of the ones with the most contrast, so it really pops. Can I find a bit that's all the dark colours? Oh, this bit here. So you can see that the polka dots have a different effect depending on like which kind of light to dark is on show. So it just looks like such a fun project to knit. But you can also see, if you just look, it's so soft and buttery, and it's got that slight halo to it. But it's just, I think it's absolutely divine for a cowl, and it works really well for colour work, merino. Like, this is so even, and part of that is the yarn choice. So you kind of want something with a bit of bounce to it if you're doing colour work. And then I'll just show you our other knit by numbers sample. This one, beautiful crochet shawl. This is an oldie but a goodie, designed by Faye. Hi Faye! She wears many hats, but she designs as, I think just Faye DH Designs, Dashba Hughes. And this basalt, I thought I would pick it out because it's one of our older samples. So you can really see that it's just starting to do that thing I was describing about it kind of just like all the stitches will soften in together, and it just gets this really beautiful kind of gentle sort of soapy look to it. And the stitch definition is not quite so crisp as it was with the for instance, the Exmoor sock. That's a much crisper stitch definition. But that being said, it's really, sometimes that's what you want. So it just really, it depends on what effect you're looking for. And sometimes, you know, you want something that's going to have that. I always think it looks a bit more like a kind of heirloom or something like that. So yeah, I think that's the thing about learning to use different fibres, is it's just, then you can think about what kind of a fabric you want to end up with and sort of go for that. So if you wanted something with a really popping stitch definition, probably merino isn't your first choice. But if you want something that's going to be soft as a cloud and just get softer and softer and butterier every time you wear it, then obviously merino is the right choice, and the Exmoor Blueface or the Zwartbles would be the wrong choice. So yeah, I mean, that's the joy of hand making your clothes, right? Is kind of being able to pick exactly what you want, how you want it all to work. But it's also just good experimenting. I think what we're going to do is just go back to Helena and she will talk some sense. Farewell.
Next up, we have Corriedale, which is what we use in our Yarnadelic. This one is Lafleur's Yarnadelic. Corriedale is a sort of medium, so it's sort of soft and can be fine, but it's sort of, ours is a 29 micron, so it's at the sort of, yeah, not coarse, but it can go sort of either way. It's a really multi-purpose one because it's right in the middle. Like, you can put it with your Lustres, you can be nice and soft, so it's good for next to the skin, but it's also more hard wearing than merino. It's just really useful. We use it a lot when we're making blends for people and in making our own things, we like for tops and things, because it goes well with all of the different types of stuff we sell. These two are our Yarnadelics. This one is Hey Moon, this one is Sunflowers, and pull off a bit of this one. So it's still fairly short. This one is a 3 to 6, 7 to 15 centimetres, but it's less square. As you can see, it tapers at the ends a bit more. Like, it's not all exactly uniform. So this one tends to be a bit better for the worsted spinning. And yeah, we also use this one in our Exmoor sock along with the Exmoor Blueface Mule, because again, it's just a really great all-rounder. We get ours from the Falklands, but it is originally from New Zealand, and it is it's across Lincoln Longwool and Merino. So that's why it's got the sort of Lustre, longer staple length from the Lincoln, and the nice softness and the fluffiness from the Merino.
Perfect. Best of both.
Yes. And yeah, Exmoor sock, that's our, which also has Zwartbles in it.
Yeah.
Tiny bit.
Well, leather. Me again. So Helena was just telling you all about Corriedale, which is, yeah, it's just a really good kind of staple, much like the Exmoor Blueface, but the Corriedale is probably a couple steps softer. So the Exmoor Blueface is a really good staple for more of a like bouncy woolly wool, and the Corriedale is just a really good staple for more something more akin to merino, but we like it because it's just that little bit more durable than merino. It's got a bit more drape to it than merino, and it's just a really great all-rounder. Yeah, it's a gorgeous fibre. We love using it, and they're such cute sheep as well, which always helps. So what I wanted to do is just show you a couple samples, but I would say really you could kind of do anything with the Corriedale. Probably like if you want some really delicate lace, it still does have a little bit of that springback thing that merino does, not to the same degree, but if you want a really open lace pattern, then it might not quite show, but it's got great stitch definition, the Corriedale. So, and we enhanced that by doing it as like a 3-ply. So yeah, great for cables, colour work, just normal stocking stitch. I think it would be really nice for like a drapey waterfall cardigan as well. It's a pretty great all-rounder. So I wanted to show you a couple samples. This lovely thing. I've lost my face. Oh, there it is. This is really cozy, and it is designed by Felice, and it is called the Soundwave Static Cowl. And oh gosh, trying cows on while on a video, not the best idea probably. So I'll show you why. It's got these amazing big soundwave patterns on it, and then on the inside it's got this, so it's reversible, which I love. And on the inside, it's got this like static, you know, remember old TVs? You had to tune them in. I'm sure you remember. I remember. And then when they weren't quite tuned, you get that grainy stuff. But you can really see just that lovely kind of pop-in stitch definition. And it's got a little bit of a halo, but not as much. You can see the halo like up where it touches the light, not as much as like the Exmoor's Zwartbles did. So they're just slightly finer fibres. And then the other sample I wanted to show you, I love this vest so much. One day I will knit myself one. And I will actually just do a quick pause and I'll pop it on because it's gorgeous and I want you to like it too. It's Rebecca Mauser is the designer, and it's called Pandora's Love. God, so cheesy. Sorry guys. But yeah, I just wanted you to see it on because it's definitely one of my favourite patterns that we sell. I just think it just, you know, you can wear it with anything, especially we're going into spring, and it's the perfect just like little layer of extra wool and extra warmth. And it's just got this really great kind of slip stitch pattern. So what I'll do is I'll take it off again using the magic of cuts, and then I'll give you a little close up of the texture. Right, great. So here it is close up. I just wanted to show you again so you can really see all that texture and the stitch definition on the Corriedale fibres and the Yarnadelic, but also just because look how cool that stitch pattern is. I love the way it blends the two yarns. I think it's all just garter stitch, but then every now and then you just like do a slip stitch. So it's really easy pattern, but it's just such an effective result. Grand. So that's our Corriedale. So what we're going to do now is go back over to Helena, and I think we've only got one more sheep breed. So you'll see that in a sec.
Okay, last but not least of our tops we have here is Devonia, which is one that we put our Wensleydale into along with our Bluefaced Leicester and our Exmoor Blueface. So this one is a lovely yarn that is super drapey with a little bit of shine. So we have, this is our pollen gold colour in the yarn. and this is our sage sprig colour in the tops. So again, it comes out as a fairly long staple. It's got a little bit of shine to it. You can sort of see in there. It's got like nice waviness in it, and it comes out just really nice and yeah, sort of drapey with a little bit of a curl in the fibres. So they come out really nice if you want like nice flowing garments or like shawls or something. So really lovely for stuff like that. Okay, so doing a little close up. This one here is the Merino. So nice and soft and fluffy and quite squared on the ends, very squared on the ends, very soft, very fluffy.
Yeah, and you can see with the micron count, each individual fibre, they almost like fuse together, and it's quite hard to see them with the camera, but also just with your eye if you were looking at it. They kind of combine a bit, don't they?
And then this one is the Corriedale. So it is a bit of a longer staple, tapers more at the ends. It's got a little bit of sort of tiny bit of shine to it, but you can see the fibres a lot more clearly than in the Merino. And yeah, quite long.
Fab.
Then this one is the Romney. So it's got a little bit of sort of crimpiness still to it, so you can see the sort of wobbly texture in there rather than like long, straight or curly locks. Very long again with the staple length going off, and tapered at the end rather than square, but quite shiny.
Nice.
And then these are the ones that John talked about. This one is the Zwartbles. Super bouncy. It's quite long. It's got like nice chocolatey brown colour. Very, very crimpy nature to it.
It is so just plump, isn't it? It's great
Yeah.
for cables and things, that one.
It's very lovely, and it smells like sheep. And then this one is our Devon double sorted Bluefaced Leicester. So again, it's got a nice bit of lustre to it, and it's a bit more drapey, so you can see the things, but they're not quite so crimpy. They're a bit longer, and they would be curly if they weren't in tops form. Lots of little tiny curls on a Bluefaced Leicester rather than big curls like a Wensleydale. But yeah, again, it's quite a long staple, and yeah, nice creamy colour.
Grand.
So, yeah.
And what would you recommend, like which one of those is hardest to spin probably for like a hand spinner or someone who's starting out thinking of spinning? What would be a good thing to start with?
You'd probably want to start with the Corriedale because again, it's an all-rounder. It's quite soft, but it's quite long. It's nice and easy. It's not too crimpy or too wavy.
And it doesn't break so much.
It's not
like
gonna,
the Merino.
Yeah, the Merino with the squared thing, you might end up like pulling it in a bit more of a clump than the other ones. But again, you might want to try it because it's nice and soft. You could also blend them because that's what we do. Zwartbles is lovely, but yeah, you don't always want to start with the bounciest thing possible. It's that, and then if you wanted to try one of the long wools, our BFL is super soft and lovely. This is beautiful fibre. I really like to spin this one. But that or the Romney, if you wanted to try out something that is like a long wool rather than going straight in at the like Wensleydale end, you probably want to go for one of these that's not quite all the way there.
Grand. So that was Helena nattering about our Devonia and different Lustre breeds and their purposes. Like she said, I think Lustre breeds are probably one of the most unusual of all the British breeds. They just have this real shine to them and that really long staple length she was showing you. And because of that and the way that the fibre's kind of created, they don't have much of that bounce to them. I would really recommend, just sort of out of curiosity really, seeking something out with a Lustre breed if you haven't tried it before, just to see how the fibre behaves, because it really is so unique from other wools. We like to use it as a blend here, and the main thing we use it in is our Devonia. The reason we use it as a blend is because a pure Lustre often it doesn't have any kind of bounce to it anymore, and I think for like whether you're crocheting, knitting, often if you're making a garment you want just like it to be a bit tighter around the cuffs, and a pure Lustre wool
will not really have that bounce that you're used to. So we think it works best in a blend. And then you do get the best of both worlds, really. So yeah, like this amazing hat I've got on, which is actually a pattern by Helena. Good work, Helena. It's called Devon Mariner. And what I'll do is just take it off my head so you can have a little close-up. So you can see, if I hold that up, hopefully you can see. If I spring it, you can see it's not as bouncy as it would be if it was made in like an Exmoor Blueface or even in the Merino. But it's got that gorgeous shine to it. And it's such a warm hat. It's really fab one. So yeah, I would have a look at that. I love it. It's that fisherman's rib is why that's so nice. And then the other pattern that I wanted to show you that really kind of shows off that Lustre breed quality is this beautiful thing. I'll just pop it on. This is the Sail Coat by Helena, who is such a talented designer. I mean, look at this. It's just, and if I do a little spin, then you'll really be able to see like that floaty kind of, whee! Look at that. So that, the reason it's swinging like that, usually you'd only get that from like an alpaca blend or a silk blend or something like that. But that is that Lustre wool in there. So it just really makes something so nice and drapey. Yeah, it's gorgeous. So I would recommend checking it out. Just out of curiosity, really. If you haven't tried it before, it's definitely... and actually, if you're trying it just for like research purposes, I'd probably go for something with a slightly higher Lustre content than our Devonia, just because then you'll get the really stark difference. But the Devonia is gorgeous fibre. And what I would say it's probably best used for is like a shawl or a really nice drapey cardigan, something that will just flow really beautifully. It's quite nice for colour work as well, but not if you're a beginner, because I think it can be a bit harder to get an even tension just because of that drape to it. And then the, yeah, I mean, but really it's a good all-rounder because it does have that Exmoor Mule content to it as well. And what I will do is just give you a little close-up of these cables. It's probably not really the right colour to see on this camera, but hopefully you can see that texture's still showing up, but the cables are just like a little bit flatter onto the surface of the fabric. They don't like stand up as much, and that's because the long wools in here just mean it's not quite as bouncy. So it's still that lovely cable, but it just sits a bit flatter to the actual fabric of the yarn. So I hope you enjoyed that. Thanks so much for watching. I'm remembering to do an outro here this time, rather than having to do it in my house in the rain. So that's a step up. They're going to be so professional in like half a year. It'll be amazing. So yeah. Thank you. I hope all is well with you. And I hope that you found this like useful or kind of learned a bit more about different breeds and what kind of things to think about. The other thing I would say is if you've got any questions or if you have a specific pattern and you're not sure which of our yarns would work, or the other way round, you've got some yarn in your stash and you want to find a pattern to go for it, you can always just send us an email. It's just me and Juliet who answer the emails, so you know who we are. We're not scary. Just get in touch. And yeah, it's nice sort of having people throw different questions at you first thing in the morning while you're drinking your cup of tea. Kind of wakes you up a little bit. So yeah, just let us know. And I hope you've enjoyed this. And yeah, wishing you all a kind of lovely sort of start to spring. And no doubt we'll be along soon. We're just actually kind of gearing up to launch. We've got a new lace weight coming in a couple of months, so that's pretty exciting. It's the Alpaca Supreme, and we're going to be doing it as a lace weight, so probably the next vlog will be on that. But also we might sneak one in, a little cheeky one in between this and that. So yeah, see you again either way, and take care. Farewell.